So, hi world, and welcome to Oaza of My Soul. I welcome you in this episode where I invited my very good friend to have a chat and see what will come up for us. And the theme of the conversation is called Awakening Individuality. So, I want to welcome Latasha to this call, and I want to really honor your time. So thank you very much for being here with me today.
I am honored.
We're kind of nervous just because this is first time doing something like that. So I don't know how and what will come out, but I'm really, really happy to have you here. This is something that I really wanted for a long time. And before we open this conversation about awakening, I have a hard time to pronounce this, but still important word for our humanity and what is happening in the world right now. And also the reason, or I would say one of the reasons why I invited you to be part of this podcast or, conversation is because I've known you for over a year now, and we met in our school that we did last year in a psychosynthesis, spiritual psych. Now it's just left me for a moment. So we did course together last year, and it was a beautiful journey. And I want to know how you feel after this year of studying about yourself, studying about psychology, spirituality, kind of why did you choose that? And why did you want it to become a life coach or psychosynthesis coach?
Yeah. Okay. So there was a couple of questions in there, so I'm gonna kind of gather them. The first being, why did I choose psychosynthesis journey?
Yeah, what made you to decide to step into this space of learning and becoming?
Yeah. Partly it felt like a call. I remember at the time. I remember feeling and yearning for more, that I had more potential in me, and that where I was at that time in my journey was I felt stuck and unsure. And I knew that, like I just said, I had more potential. And I also was drawn to spiritual psychosynthesis because I had been gathering information about the transpersonal and being very curious about the transpersonal realm and wanting to understand that more. It was like a calling in my bones, in my body, in my cells, like being very curious, right? And then the word spiritual has always meant something for me because I've kind of identified with that in a way, um, being a very spiritually minded person, which I think for everyone might be a bit different. For me, it's very much like spirituality means very much in tune with life, I think. So there was a lot in there for me, and one part following my instincts and my curiosity, and that undeniable time in your life where you're like, I need to jump into this.
Right,
One part scary and one part, I know I need to do this.
right.
Yeah.
I do remember at the beginning of our course when we had, I think, over 25 people in the room, and each person shared their own personal choice why they have chosen to step in. And
Mm.
a lot of people share this similar idea of something is telling me to do, right?
Yeah.
And I need
Yeah.
to look inward. I need to start working on myself.
Yes.
And I don't think we had answers per
Mhm.
se. We just had that calling, that awaken moment.
Yeah.
And I personally experienced that it was so important and necessary to step into unknown. It was really unknown time for me personally. So I wonder how do you see yourself now after this whole year of learning and engaging and exchanging the energy and knowledge with yourself and others?
Yeah. That is a very powerful question, and I'm kind of smirking because um, it's like I had already been doing work prior to, right, for some time, and there was a big chunk that you could say I was missing, and I can only picture myself as being like this much, like I know this much,
Right.
and then suddenly just being like blasted open with what I didn't know, and suddenly what I was experiencing and knowing more about myself and all of the kind of the flashlight into the psyche and realizing, wow, there's so much here. And so now where I am at is kind of like one part so grateful because I have found some pretty profound parts of myself or truths of myself that will always remain in my soul, right? Like you once you know, you can't not know what you found. And then another part of me that's still searching for meaning and still has so many questions and almost trying to, I think, in order to know is for me is embodiment. So there's so many pieces that was never taught, that we were never taught as students, as kids, which is one of the foundations of why I'm on this journey, is because of mini awakenings, right? Like we opened that word in the beginning, awakenings, and being like, we need to know this. I need to know this. We need to know the truth. There's more to
Right.
us.
Right.
And so I'm in a good place, and I know I'm also like, oh, there's so much more to this path and my purpose. And yeah, I'm grateful for sure.
Oh, that's beautiful. And, like as you mentioned, having those moments in times that you think but all of a sudden you realize whatever you knew, it's not good enough. Now you're shifting into better knowing and understanding of who you are and who you're becoming through this whole journey. And, the interesting part about education or learning something new that you really inviting yourself to become someone that you already know deeply that you are.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
Mm-hmm.
that fear that we have, as you said, we don't know because our parents didn't teach us, or um, we didn't have that in our school, or I don't know, you hang out with people who are not interested to know more about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is very interesting time with this chaos that is happening in the world,
Mm-hmm.
that more and more people are waking up to the truth of who they are and why they are the way they are. Also, it's unknown, so it's uncomfortable. And one of the questions I have for you is the inner work, the shadow work, or the self-inquiry, if I may say,
Mhm.
how that resonates with you personally when
Mm.
you hear those words.
Mm.
Mm, mm.
It resonates. it, it, it resonates. Like, I feel as though I am one of those people that every day I wake up, I'm kind of in that realm. Like, and I've been like that way for a long time. So, and there's been a lot of experiences in my life where I have been fortunate enough to wake up to certain things. And something that has gotten me even deeper within myself, the inner work, is this term called shadow work, right? And, and I think that it's opened up profound realizations of this human journey. And so when I say I resonate with it, it's like I it's so hard to explain because shadow work for me and inner work, it's all an experience. And I just am taken back to so many moments in my life where I took a pause and I decided not to deny or ignore all of the pain that I have been carrying and had been carrying, and that when I'm able to go into the depths of my being and the shadow work and realize that there is a lot of pain from certain memories, and and for me it very much is an experience that is like stored in my body for some reason. That's how I experience shadow work. And I'm grateful because I it has opened up deeper layers of love somehow. That's And it's not like I'm floating around in a love experience all the time. I'm certainly not. you know
Yeah,
it almost seems like there's more layers all the time to dig into, but for whatever reason I can't ignore it, I can't deny it, I can't avoid it anymore. Once you open it up, it's there.
right,
And a lot of the times I'm grateful, and truthfully a lot of the times I'm like wondering what the heck, why, right? Why always? And the truth is the only thing that I can cognitively understand at this point is that there's just been a lot of pain in the world. It's part of living.
right.
And having that as part of the experience seems, I guess, relevant. Yeah,
I
I don't
think
know.
I think it's more than important to know why we feel certain things in our body when we invite ourselves into that inner work. And sometimes, like it can be a personal choice, right? Or some events happened in our life that will invite us to really, pondering is not the right word for it, because it's like when something shocking happen and you don't understand what's happening in your life, can be really scary, can be like completely off, and that brings a lot of trauma and memories and turmoil, right?
Yeah.
But this conversation inspired me, or I would say this topic inspired me to talk. Okay, I am going to actually change this a little bit. I mentioned that to you earlier today before we start recording, that what I remember from our interaction last year is that you were one of the bravest person that I ever met in my entire life. And I'm not saying that because I'm talking to you, but I'm saying it from my own experience. Because, I hit the ground so many times in my life and I had to bring myself up. And, when I go back to those memories, a lot of emotions comes up for me. And I had to learn how to understand my emotion, how to understand myself, and how to embrace it and be in a loving relationship with that. So the fact that you said that more love is anchoring inside of you, it's exactly what happens, because you face the fear, you face the shit show. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
this is where I want to share these informations with people, because you're not alone. I am
Yeah.
not alone. Anybody out there is alone. Like, they're not alone. Like, we are connected, and we are more connected than we know. And but I feel like people are afraid of speaking. People are afraid of the truth. People are afraid of denial, or exile, or whatever that is. Like, I understand that because I walk that path, and I'm still healing. I'm still processing a lot of information that coming through each day, and it's a roller coaster.
Yeah.
And so this, there's actually, I don't know if I mentioned to you, but Oeza, the name of the channel,
Hmm.
it means Oeza in English. Oaza is Slovakian word where I'm coming from. And if I translate it into English, it's oasis. And to me, oasis means finding that peace within yourself, that beautiful, flourish, harmonized center that you carry within yourself. And so, because we are facing difficulties in our life, through breakups, through events that are hard to explain, through memories from the past life, or through our lineage, whatever we think we know where things are coming from, there's still this beautiful oasis inside of us. We just have to really get our hands dirty, in a sense, and try to dig in and really find that path that will come closer to that oasis. So that's why I invited you to have this conversation with me, because I see you. I see how much work you've done for yourself, and it's my honor to exchange this knowledge and experiences, and so I want to thank you for it. I know. And in this moment, we're gonna breathe, take it
Yes.
in.
I was literally going to invite that because that was a lot, and I felt a lot of that. And I hope that if anyone is listening to this, they feel what I felt, because what I experienced and I felt is you truly seeing me. And when someone is seen and understood on that level, it is a deep breath out. And already the stuff that I work through, because as you know, this conversation, I've been going through some inner work today, and it makes me feel like it's worth it, this conversation.
Yeah.
Truly, like, my heart is a melting puddle right now in a beautiful way, because of what you said and what you've mirrored. And it's like in times when people are going through that, like when I'm going through that, it's just so important that we're not doing it alone, because this is the collective awakening, right? I feel like we should not go through it alone. It's painful, it's hard, it's challenging. And the more we realize like it's normal,
Yeah.
you can have the courage to face it. And such a beautiful thing you said there with the oasis is coming back to that center, or to that heart, or to that oasis, or to that peace. There's so many words for it. Coming back to that very much seems like the purpose. um, it's interesting because I had a direct experience with that last week. I was having a question in my life, like I had today, about, well, why? Like, why are we doing all this? Like,
Mm.
why am I going through all of this? All of the challenges, all of the pain, all of the experiences of the past being brought to the light, all of the parts of myself that are surfacing for me to look at and to love and to heal. Like, why? And I had this direct experience. It was answered when talking to someone else. And then I got this like body experience where it was like, because of love. And when you're talking, it's reminding me of that. And sometimes I will say the truth is that it's hard to stay there. It's hard to come back to that truth. And perhaps maybe the more and more we do that work, we can remember that truth, and just deepen that naturalness in us that is love, right? So I just wanted to say that because what you said there was so important to my soul.
I mean, I appreciate that. And also, I appreciate your sharing because I think it's very true that when we consciously decide, okay, something is not working out, something is falling apart, there's too much stress in my life. For example, that's just simple examples that I can, think of. We normally, what we don't do, we don't slow down and take a notebook and pen. Okay, so this is how I feel. Why do I feel this way? That's
Mm-hmm.
very foreign. That doesn't exist in our vocabulary unless you are working with a coach or someone who has an experiences, right? So when things gonna, as they say, when the shit hits the fan,
Yeah.
so it's like, holy shit, my life is done. Like
Yeah.
it's disaster, right? And so we think that waking it's a path, it's an easy path, but it's not. It's actually opposite,
Oh.
right?
Yeah.
And you like, oh, I have a dark night of my soul, and it happened 2 years ago, so I should be done. I'm good. But
Yeah.
at the end of the story, no, there's another level, another level, another level. And I
Yeah.
think this is where, as you said, that you're not able to hold it for long. It's because maybe you're not meant to.
Yeah. I mean, just when you say holding something, it doesn't feel natural, right?
Right.
Life is in constant evolution and motion, and we know this.
Right.
Things emerge and grow and die and evolve and decay and all
Yep.
that. That brings us back to that point about nature that we may have been discussing pre-recording, but
Yeah.
um, yeah. And so when you say that, do you mean the holding on to the love, the peace, the oasis? Do you mean, or because once you have that experience, you kind of want to be there, you kind of want to stay there, right? You kind of want to like anchor that in and live that.
Right. And again, this dance between black and white. good and bad,
Yeah.
yin and yang, in the sense of like sometimes what I feel that, oh, I'm good. You know what I mean? Like I did the work, I'm good.
Yeah. I know what
I
you
don't
mean.
need to do the work
Yeah.
anymore.
Done it. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I am recognizing that my ego, comes in and will take over,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not. I think when we try to hold on to this idea that we have everything figured out, even that feeling of like you had an opportunity to ask a question that was so important to you, and the answer came through, and you wanted to stay with that answer for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
but somehow you did not.
Yeah.
So this is just the invitation. Maybe there's more than just this,
Yeah.
right? Like, how can I say that this feeling that I had last week about love, this is all I know?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It's like the way I'm trying to explain this, it's like flowers, right? I just, you see flowers next to me. And, the unfortunate thing about buying flowers from a shop is that when you walk into store and you see beautiful flowers, they're blooming, they're exactly how they're supposed to be. But 7 days later, they're gonna disappear.
Yeah.
And that's the nature, I think that's the nature of a moment, being in
Yeah.
the moment and not trying to hold on to that moment for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So the evolution happens when we allow ourselves to ask those questions and be open to any answers through anything, through flowers, through friends, through podcasts, whatever that is. And
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, okay, this is it. This is it for now.
Yeah.
And then as you move forward, you deepen that understanding within yourself. So I feel like you will go through transformation, and your body will feel differently.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the question is, do you want to go deeper?
Yeah. I think what you're saying is something that is so, so important because what came through to me when you said that was this idea or notion to begin with is, really decoding the beliefs that we were taught about things, to stay happy and to avoid feelings. And it's like this big scope of like what life really is. And we've denied what life really is, a part of it, anyways. And perhaps what we're coming into now is like the fullness of life, the fullness of it, this experience, and that everything changes. And maybe this whatever that maybe some of us are facing is like, well, I haven't faced that as part of reality for so long, so it's hard to bring that in until you keep doing it,
Yeah.
right? Because trust me, like there has been moments where I've been through the challenges and I am reminded of what we're saying, and I'm like, this is all okay, like it's all for a purpose, like it's all going to be good, like this is part of life and I accept this too.
Right.
And yeah, it's a wild journey, isn't it?
It is. And I, like, there's a question that I want to ask you, this question, kind of like, okay, so before psychosynthesis,
Hmm.
what was the work that you did on yourself?
Yeah, I would say right before psychosynthesis, I, for about 2 years, I actually got introduced to the word shadow work, and it was the same thing as psychosynthesis. I was like, I need to know everything about this word.
Okay.
My soul was calling me again. This undeniable, like I just mentioned before, cells wanting to know, right? I had no idea what that was, but I knew that I needed to know it,
Sure.
and then I did, right? I studied with this woman, and she's a depth psychologist, and she very much introduced me to shadow work. And at the same time, I was also going through the gene keys, which, if anyone knows Richard Rudd of the Gene Keys, has, you know, the shadow, the gift, the city. And I was also going through that, like some of his series. So simultaneously, I was learning that for me, I was actually avoiding a lot of pain. And when I opened up to that, that was my doorway into shadow work. And then I began to realize what I was holding. And then I began to process it through different ways.
Sure.
So that had been going on for a couple years, still is. And um, yeah. And, I think before that, there's been many things too, because, I'm 37 now, and I believe that I've had a little bit of series of awakenings, but I do believe that I had been doing stuff beforehand. It's just not as conscious as it has been in the last 5 or 6 years,
Right.
right? I was trying to understand things in my younger 20s, mid 20s, doing things, but also not as conscious as I am now. Just kind of fumbling along, I would say.
Well, don't you feel like that's how, we should go as the spiral,
Uh, yeah,
you're slowly kind of climbing up, and each time, each level will be a little bit of different,
yeah,
more conscious.
yes,
And, when you look back, it's when you realize how much work you have done already. But because when you look forward, it's like, I don't know what I'm going to get out of it.
totally.
I don't know how this is going to change me.
Yeah.
And, you know, the word trust is probably, for me, trusting myself that the sensation that I am receiving when I hear this, or when I see this, it's exactly what I have to pay attention to,
Hmm.
and not be afraid and run away from it.
Yeah.
And so this is not a level of this inner work, shadow work, you know, um, self-inquiry. And
Yeah.
it's such a beautiful, and again, going back to the thing that you're not doing it alone, even though you have to be alone, with it.
Hmm.
You have to feel it in order to transmute it to something that,
Yeah.
will definitely change you.
Yeah. Definitely will change you.
And so, I shared with you one quote, and it was from Carl Jung, right? I'm
Mm.
not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become.
It's got shivers.
Right. And so it's like, so many things happen to me, right? This is what we say when we're not conscious enough to understand that, okay, all right, so I see this. I'm going to brainstorm. I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to feel into those questions and let the answers come to me when the time is ready, I guess, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And then choose, do I want to be victim of it, or do I want to be the hero?
Yes.
And yeah, so it's such a beautiful reminder that we always have a choice.
Yes.
to choose how we want to deal with it.
Yeah, this has been one of the most profound awakenings that I received last year in our training, was this conscious level of choice, and that once you have the awareness of it, that you can simply choose, and how magnificent that is in our journey towards, like you just said there, realizing that we're not a victim, and that the more choices we make towards alignment of who we are, or our higher purpose or meaning or values, that it does add to the changing of us, right? The growing in a way that is serving us, I guess, not in an egoic way, but of an evolution of our soul's journey
Right.
towards realization. Yeah.
You know, it's like shedding old skin. I
Yeah.
can look around, right? Like see the nature, see the animals, how they behave,
Yeah.
how they know without thinking.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah,
Totally.
winter is coming or summer is coming, you know, spring is coming. It's like sometimes the awakening a moment comes really out of nowhere, like it's your time to wake up. Right.
Yeah. It's like there's an instinctual level there, and there's also a level that's connected into the body. And that's why another thing is, I believe that we need to come more into our bodies, because it's exactly what you're talking about. It's like we don't know. And if we can just be in this moment and trust, I
Yeah.
also resonate with that hugely. I've mentioned it a couple times out loud to myself today already. you know, because life is, yeah, that's another part of the truth that I'm waking up to, is life is a chaotic mystery, and not, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
And as you said, like the word, the body, right? Come to your body. Um, you know, if we look back in the history, how a Western world was created versus Eastern world, right? Like if you go to India, how they practice yoga versus how people practice yoga in the Western world, it's totally different. I live in New York City, and it's all about working out,
Yeah.
moving your body in order to either burn calories or have some kind of connection with the body, but not exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have to work out because I was sitting 9 hours behind the computer.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, there's a lot of these things like not having time to move with my body and listen to my body. So definitely what you just said, it's so important to honor your body, listen to your body, feel your body. And I think we are on precipice of like more and more people want to be connected with their bodies.
Absolutely.
And you know, they don't know how, and therefore this is where we do the work that we need to do in order to give them some information, and you know, like even the choice why to become life coach or just person who can help to someone else, to remind them like, hey, there's more to it, you just have to take that first step.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a great way to exchange this information, especially like knowing how much you work doing for yourself. So, is there something you want to share that it's just coming up for you right now? And you feel like this is what I want to share with people.
Oof, wow, what a juicy question. Oh, well, I'm very aware of just being super present to myself and my experience and what's moving through me. Like, that's where our deepest truth can be. And knowing I don't want to like share from some sort of like egoic place, like I've got the answers, because I don't.
Hmm.
Um, I just feel like sometimes, if you've ever felt alone or in discord or challenged by things or feeling a certain way, that there's always a way through, because I have gone through it, like even today, as you know. And I think what I'm realizing with this conversation is it's so important to be in connection or community with people, because I'm not alone, you're not alone, we're not alone. And yes, you need to process it by yourself. Like if you are experiencing something, you sitting with it is very important, or moving with it, or whatever that looks like. And I'm just reminded that I think probably one of the reasons why I stepped into this work is the connection piece is so important. And I am aware that the way you're holding space for this conversation to happen organically is so wonderful. I don't even know what I'm sharing right now. I just feel enlightened, not enlightened, but like enlivened by it. Like, so I feel supported by it,
Right.
right? So it's reminding me, even I have questions like, why am I doing this? Who am I to do this when I'm still very much going through things? And it's like nothing is perfect. Everything is emerging and evolving and growing, and that is a beautiful thing to recognize within ourselves, that we don't have to be in this perfect place to do anything or to have things in our lives or to be a certain person. Like, just by making choices to listen to that call that we've spoke to a couple times on here, that like tingling or that desire, that impulse or that instinct, it's like listen to that. you know and I think there's anyone out there that's like going through some sort of like realization in their body, they're having experiences in their body, like listen to that. Like we do have the answers inside of us if we give ourselves enough time and space to slow down and pay attention, and it can be painful, but it's worth it. And I think the reason why maybe I wasn't able to like see how much it was worth it today was because I needed to see how it was worth it by conversation today. It's always going to show you different. Moving through shadow and challenges is always going to it's always going to look different, I think. And today for me, the coming back to home or presence in the body or that like neutral space is very much just having support in another person in doing it. So I don't know. I don't know if that was anything other than
Oh,
that's my
no,
truth right now.
no, that was exactly what it needed to come through. And, thank you for seeing me in this space as well, because, you know, this channel has been on my mind for a long time. And I was really scared to start something like that.
Mhm.
And one of the reasons was because of my English. It's not my first language. And the truth is that I have Mercury planet in third house, in Gemini house. What that means in my world, in my mind, I process information very fast.
Mm.
And at the same time, I want to do it perfectly. So my Virgo, it's kicking my ass 24/7. So this is testament for all of you who wants to be inspired to just do it. Whatever that is that you want to do, just do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
However it's going to look like at the beginning, doesn't matter. The point is to honor yourself. Even basically I had to face the dark side of myself because I was constantly thinking and going back and forth how I'm gonna do this, and I have to do it, but you cannot do it, and people gonna whatever. It's like nonstop stupidity. And I'm like, if I want to evolve, if I want to face dark side of me, and I invited myself to go into deep shadow work, this was part of it. This was exactly what I needed to do in order to break free and be like, hey, Latasha, are you gonna be, excited to do something like that with me? And I had no agenda. I had no, script or anything like that. It's just like, I want to create a space for people who are happy to share and they're not afraid of sharing. They're not afraid of tapping into deeper side of themselves
Yeah.
and be okay with that. And
Yeah.
at the same time, trusting that whatever will come through, it's going to be recognized, it's going to be supported, it's going to be loving, safe space. So, and this is my mission. This is what I am learning right now at this moment, to create that space for others, because I need that space for myself.
Oh, beautiful. So beautiful. I love that you're recognizing it within yourself and then translating that towards service for others. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes, purpose, the word purpose can be really heavy.
Yeah. Hmm.
Some people, they know what the purpose is right away.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
some people look for the purpose. They look for the oasis. They
Yeah.
look for that, center, like something that wakes me up each morning and I am ready to do this.
Yeah.
Even though you're scared, even though you don't know how it's going to look like, even though you are like, I can do it today. Why am I doing this? Like, it's just
Yeah.
that word, why.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like you just shared a little bit of my life, what it looks like every day.
Oh no, you're not alone. Again, I have similar experiences. I'm like,
Oh,
damn it, again.
I know. I think for me, what's coming through right now is I think it's a mark of like just how real we're being with ourselves because it's like, it doesn't look like the same for everyone. And we are just getting clear about what it looks like that day. And, going through the inner work ourselves, there's always things that we're navigating with. And some days I feel so on purpose, in my mission, in my values, and I'm able to share and like hold space for people and just be like, wow, okay, that was it. And then the next day I'm like, oh, what's this now?
And I agree 100%. Like, there was a moment last week, no joking. It's like I woke up and I'm like, what am I doing today? What do I need to do? And like, okay, so I'm gonna spend time here and I'm gonna focus on this. And it's like, okay, what is it that is going to inspire me today?
Yeah.
And it's funny that you're sharing this with me because it can be struggle, but I think the struggle gets easier and,
Yeah.
you kind of have fun with it a little bit
Yep. Yeah.
and kind of like giving yourself, again, permission to fuck it up. I'm sorry for the French, my French,
Hmm.
but like I'm not perfect and I'm gonna make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
That's me. Like
It's
I
a
have
really
so
good
much mess.
reminder for everyone. It's very, very important, you
Yeah,
know, very important. Things aren't going to look perfect or pristine or like someone else's.
yeah,
And we are all in our human nature, little imperfect and messy. And there's beauty in that. And there's something to be honored within that too. And I want to cherish that as a little gift for myself today because even though I've very much head on looked at my perfectionist and being able to be messy and be in action now, it still does come up as like a little bit of a like, am I doing enough? Am I going to be good enough? But it's like, as long as you're in action in a way, you are evolving and supporting yourself. And yeah.
yeah. And I want to thank you for saying that because this is so important to remind people, even myself, um, even to yourself, right? Like it's okay to be messy.
Hmm.
It's okay not to be perfect.
Hmm.
And it's okay to kind of like mess it up and then like, oh, this wasn't cool. I need to fix. And again, like this can go to different places when it comes to let's unpack this. Let's have
Yeah.
conversation about this, right? Like there's so many levels of it.
Yes.
But for now, I think just the choice of doing something better for yourself is to acknowledge that it's going to take time.
Yeah.
It's ongoing process.
Hmm.
One day you're up, one day you're down.
Yeah.
One day, as you said, you feel fantastic. You're like, yes, I nailed it. And
Yeah.
next day you're like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And there's so much that I want to unpack with you. But we have only, so much time for this
Yeah,
conversation.
exactly.
So I hope we will do this again in the future.
I hope so too.
Awesome. So, but before we close,
Mhm.
please share with me and with the viewers whatever you feel like you need to share with us.
um, a pretty wide open question. Hmm. Whatever I feel like I need to share. Well, this has been a pretty rich conversation and there's a lot in here. So I feel like it's one of those things when you're listening to things and there's so many pieces. It's like, what piece can you take away? What piece is standing out for you? What piece is surfacing, bubbling, going on within you? And take that and there's something very important to me, and it's this word of integration.
Mhm.
And it's like, take that piece and make action with it. And when I mean make action with it, it means, get to know it more, get to understand it, feel it in your body. There was a question that was asked not too long ago, and it was like, what are you willing?
Mm.
So from this conversation, what are you willing,
Mhm.
right? Whatever piece is moving through you, what are you willing? Because that's what's going to help you integrate that piece into your life as wisdom,
Right.
as a movement, as an energy that's in you now. We can contemplate on things. Yes, that is a little bit action too. But how are we moving with that now? right?
Yeah.
It's the smallest thing is really important, I think.
And I love it.
Yeah.
And I deeply love it because, again, as you said, the contemplation and kind of what you're willing to do
Hmm.
with the information you have,
Hmm.
it's you. It's up to you.
Yeah.
And there's so much freedom in it.
Yeah.
And it feels so good. And it's part of me is like, I want to keep going, but um, I want to honor your time because you have things to do. And I want to really deeply thank you for doing this first podcast on this channel. And yeah, definitely we're gonna do more than one. And there's more to unpack. And so thank you again, Latasha, for your time, for the wisdom, for the love, for your light that you sharing with me and with the world and with your clients. And I will link your website with
Okay.
whoever wants to connect with you, work with you, because you are coaching people, and I'm very happy for that, for your willingness to do better work for
Oh,
yourself and for others.
yes.
So I want to honor you deeply and thank you for stepping into this space with me, into our oasis.
Oh, thank you so much for that. Yeah.
Awesome. So
Beautiful.
thank you for watching, and I will see you on next one.